How's everybody doing today? If you're new to the channel, this is Tilted Glory Gaming, and we play a lot of Monster Hunter here. I wanted to come on today and just go over a theory that I have for Monster Hunter Wilds. We are 10 days before launch of the game here, so it is February 18th. So, before we get started, if you wouldn't mind, if you like the channel, you like the videos, please consider liking, subscribing, and leaving a comment. So, the theory I have comes into play right around this area. It started getting me thinking. So, we have this uh, new monster here. Um, what's its name? Jin Dahad? Jin Dahad, I believe it is. They released the name of it right after uh, the final trailer from last week. And Jindahad has these metal like horns coming out here. Its face looks like it has metal lines. Almost like really looks like, I don't know, kind of reminiscent of like a radio tower here, like right in the face, right in this general area, like the top of a radio tower or something. It's very metallic looking. It's a very metallic looking monster. But if we go forward and we'll put it down to quarter speed here and back up just a hair. Now if we go forward and look at this rock, as you can see, actually doesn't appear to be a rock at all. It almost appears to be like, I don't know, maybe a big piece of metal or something. You can see these weird like brick lines on it. Maybe it's brick, but I'm going to say it's metal of some sort, and you'll understand why in a second here. You also have Jindahad scaling the wall behind us. Um, Almost reminding me of like a salamander, the way he moves. But if you watch this rock, you'll see that no point on it touches anything. And we clearly jump to it, land on it, and jump off. Okay? And then we go up to this next one, which again does not exactly look like it connects to this cliff over here. Now, maybe that rock is falling. We've seen that before in Monster Hunter World Iceborne, the final monster of the story. At the end, you jump down some rocks, kind of, but you're in like a falling, like you're going down, falling with the rocks. You're not jumping horizontally, trying to get places, and even up to places here. Um, so I think what might be going on is back in Sunbreak, they brought back a monster from Frontier. And that monster is Espinos, also Flaming Espinos. Um, with Frontier, they had magnetic monsters, monsters that used quote unquote magnetism. There were like two like werewolf dog things. I'll see if I can find them here in a minute because I don't remember what the name is. Um, but it was like one was positive, one was negative, and you had to fight them together. Um, but they had like the idea of magnetism in that game. They had the Magnaspike weapon. I don't exactly know how that worked because I've never played Frontier, and you can't legitimately play it now because it's been taken offline. But I'm wondering if they're doing something like that here. So if we go forward, we will turn this back on normal speed, and we're going to go forward. And you see, a little too far, you see this structure that looks clearly man-made. Okay, that to me looks like metal with reinforced, almost like a rebar. Again, very akin to like a radio tower or other structure of some sort. And if you remember back in the Windward Plains, they have the poles that could, you know, attract electricity. Um, all this clearly pointing to like a past civilization where they had more advanced technology, possibly. Um, that is in the lore. There is past civilizations that don't exist anymore, and supposedly they had advanced technology, and we don't exactly know what it is. Um, I believe there's a reference that the switch axe is from uh, like a past civilization they found schematics for it or something like that. Um, it's been a long time though. I think they touch on that in Try. I'd have to go back and look. Don't quote me on that, but I believe that's what they say. So if we go forward, we're eventually going to get to the Rathalos. And I think it's interesting because everyone's talking about, oh, you know, Gormagala has been confirmed, obviously, in this trailer. Um, and, oh, it could be Frenzy. Um, I even heard one guy say that he thinks that Arkveld and Gormagala are the same monster, just Arkveld's the basic ancestor of Gormagala. Yeah, I think that's quite a stretch. Just because, like, where are the other arms? But, I mean, I'm talking about magnetism, which we have no premise for currently, so it's a stretch as well. So, I mean, we're all theory crafting at this point, unless anyone's looked at leaks. We're all theory crafting, and we don't like leaks here, so please don't bring them in the comments. I'd appreciate that. So we have Rathalos here has this purple blue lining on it, and if you look at like Ray Dow gets this kind of coloration in its wings, and it also gets this coloration in its face and horns when it fires off lightning attacks, especially uh, it's one where it like points its horns, and it's not a rail gun, but you know, magnet gun. um, but I don't think it's lightning though. Now the other monster that has this is forward a bit, back to normal here. It's forward a bit, and it's going to be Arkveld. It's not too far ahead, but I think it's interesting that they're using a lot of the same coloration and a lot of the same ideas, almost like they're trying to give us hints at what's coming up. So there's a little bit in his arms, or not his arms, but his tentacles. Okay. Now, it has been confirmed that his red aura is dragon. Um, if you haven't heard that, I'm sorry for ruining it for you, but people have played against him in the beta test, and when you get hit by the red aura, you get dragon blight. So the red aura is dragon element, unfortunately. Now, dragon element, interestingly enough, we don't know a lot about. So we might uncover something in this game for dragon element, and you know maybe what the premise is behind it, because it's very unknown. It acts very much like lightning, um, like thunder monsters, but it can also like be in like a cloud form. So like Devil Joe shoots it out in a cloud form. Um, so it maybe, but Arkveld also has this other phase where he is. So this is him like powered down. And then he gets the red phase, which you've seen in the beta test, uh, number 2, that we just had this past weekend and the weekend prior. But there's another phase of Arkveld. We're thinking that, the one we had in the beta test is called Arkveld, or Chained Arkveld, or Arkveld Chained, something like that. But what about Unchained? Everyone's thinking, what is Unchained Arkveld? And is that possibly this purple coloration that we're going to have on Arkveld that it shows almost akin to the same thing that Rathalos has? Well, not almost, exactly akin to the same thing Rathalos has, at least in looks. Um, so you'd have to think that they're, entangled some way. And right here he is. Look at him. He has some for monster in his mouth here. But I'm wondering, you see right here it says, I don't know which one of us is worse, indicating almost that, they did something, the Keepers did something to Arkveld, and, now Arkveld may be free and is retaliating or has like some pent up anger or grudge or, just basically PTSD, which animals do. You'll find like there's been lots of stories over, decades of like lions um, being, wounded by humans and stuff like that, to the point that they, you know, start hunting people. There's also stories about like uh, them getting their teeth destroyed or their claws destroyed or whatever, and then they hunt people because we're easier prey than, some other animals that are normally uh, their prey. But anyways, I don't think the name of the keepers is necessarily just there and they just chose the name randomly. I'm thinking, and again with the chained, they had Arkveld captured, and obviously this is not a new thing. I'm not the only one who's thought of this. I get that. Um, but my theory is, are they using electromagnetism, and has it gone very, very wrong? So you'll know in Monster Hunter that we use a lot of like real world um, evidence and real world logic in the game where it makes sense to a point. Like if you don't look into it super hard, a lot of the stuff makes sense. It's one of those things where you turn your brain off just a little bit, and some of the biology that they come up with for the monsters, actually, uh, you're like, okay, okay, I can believe that for now. Um, where in reality, this obviously this stuff can't happen in real life, um, because you have monsters basically with wings, just basically floating. Uh, Palalumu, air sac. That I get it, but it's no, that you can't do that. Um. Anyways, so if you don't know, an electromagnet, you can make an electromagnet. So like an MRI machine is an electromagnet. Um, a solenoid is kind of the same thing as an electromagnet. Um, I guess it would be. It has an electromagnetic field that it produces, and that's how it opens and closes and everything. But they make this like magnetic force field, and I say force field. It's just called a magnetic field. They also have something that's called magnetic levitation. That's when you take two north poles of a magnet. Say you have like a bar magnet, and you have two of them, and you try and touch the two north poles together, and you know how they don't want to touch. They just like skip off to the side, and you can't touch them. Um, that can cause magnetic levitation, where if you have a big enough area and a magnet that's not going to flip on itself so easy, you theoretically could have it, you know, hovering, and maybe that's what they're going for with the rocks, some sort of magnetic levitation. Um, but I think where the magnetism comes into play is to make an electromagnet, you take a piece of iron, piece of steel, and iron particularly, um, you wrap wire around it, and then you send a charge through it to a ground, and that makes a magnetic field. And it makes a positive and negative magnetic end to it, and you know, not the same positive and negative as electricity. It works a little bit differently, but it'll have a north pole and a south pole to it, essentially. And then you can also change which way the North Pole and South Pole are facing just by changing the flow of electricity. If you send it in this way, it's going to be one way. If you send it in this way, it's going to be another way. Anyways, long meh. But what if we are taking the lightning from the poles in the windward planes and we are using that lightning to basically charge up and like seal off these monsters with a field that they don't want to go through. Something that hurts them to get through, something that screws with them biologically or something that they're just kind of stuck there. And then over time, it screws with them enough that it like actively destroys them biologically and starts doing weird things to them. Again, it's out there, really far out there. But I don't know. It's just a theory I have. Um, I know it's a half baked theory for sure. I get it. But it would introduce possibly a new element slash status. Probably better to be a status. I don't know how magnetism worked in Frontier, if it was a status or an element or not. I'm not exactly positive. I should do some research on that, is what I should do. But I think there's some possibility here. Um, and I think it'd be really cool to like explore it because obviously we do have some sort of um, say higher brain thinking with the oil well basin. You have this big forge and you have all this machinery down there. It's not just, super primitive. It is legit machinery that, you know, someone had to figure that out. Someone had to know, mechanically how that functions. And it's not a big step to think that they could also figure out how an electromagnetic field would work and how to make one. Again, in reality, electromagnetic fields do not cause like a physical push against something other than a magnet or metal. But, so like biologically, it's not going to force you. It can have some like health issues, obviously, but it's not going to like force you and repel you. But again, things in Monster Hunter will make sense on a face value, not necessarily all the way through, all the time. So there's another spot, we already went past it here, that kind of goes into this and makes me think about, again, an MRI machine. Because an MRI machine, all you're doing is you're spinning metal and electromagnets really, really fast to get an image, and it creates this force field. And no, it's not here. Let me find this. All right, right here, we have Jin Dahad again. In the top left here, We have a structure that clearly looks man-made. There's a saying, I don't know how religious you are or not, but there's just an old saying that God does not create in straight lines. This is exactly what it means. Clearly not a biological thing. This is clearly man-made. Um, oh gosh, I think that's a line also in Prometheus, the movie Prometheus, which also is not a horrible movie. I don't care what anyone says. Stop dissing on Prometheus. So you have Jindahad here, um, and he's getting ready to like do this little rolling attack in here. And what happens if he himself, quote unquote, is an electromagnet? If he turns himself into like a magnet here, he's a big metal monster, and he's gonna spin real quickly. And you're gonna see this force field come out. Um, and yes, he does like exude like snow or ice in like an exhaust form. Uh, so he's clearly not. If he is magnetic, he's not just magnetic. He's also like got some for other elements going on here. But that's again not unheard of in Monster Hunter. We have Espinas, who is fire, poison, and paralysis all in one. Or maybe that's Flaming Espinas. Is that one of the two? I think it's both of them. But you have Elatrion, obviously. Um, so it's not unheard of. But we will go through this at uh, 25 speed again, and just watch as the force field just as Jindahad starts rolling, the force field just comes out, and then it makes you wonder. See it right there? It just pushes everything out. It it almost looks like an explosion, but he's clearly not exploding. Like he's not doing anything to explode. It's simply goes red and then white, and just this force field comes out and pushes you away, kind of in an explosion kind of way. Um, I think, and the theory I'm going with yet again is magnetism. We will see if it, becomes a true thing. We will see if I'm completely wrong on this. But I would like to hear you guys' thoughts on what you think could be going on with the floating rocks, with the purple lightning effects, and Jindahad's move there. What exactly is going on, as well as how Jindahad is able to stand on top of that structure at the beginning here and not, with its weight, fall down. Like it's hanging on here. It's on top of it, and that should be falling. Again, magnetism could have, an out to this. Um, but I'm not entirely sure. I want to get in the game. I want to see it. I want to do it now. I don't want to wait another 10 days. I want it now, Capcom. Now. But with that, I will leave it up to you guys. Leave a comment down below. Let me know what you think's going on. I'd love to hear it. And again, if you haven't already, please think about liking the video, subscribing, and again, leave that comment. We'll see you guys next time. Bye.